Stephen A. I went to town for you in my last video, man. I defended you. You was out here fighting off Mark Kellerman, defending Fox News, talking some common sense. And then you come with this dumb ass take. But before we get into that, my name is Greg Foreman, and you are watching A Black Conservative Perspective. Please like, comment, and subscribe to A Black Conservative Perspective, aka a liberal's worst nightmare. And most importantly, share A Black Conservative Perspective. Let's get it. Okay, so the Brooklyn Nets have hired Steve Nash, former MVP, legendary basketball player, to become their next head coach. And watch Stephen A's take on this hire.
Steve Nash is a sensational dude. And if anybody deserves this opportunity, absent the experience that obviously he has as a coach, it is him. It happened for Steve Kerr, who had never coached on any level before, but he took over Golden State, and look at the job that he's done. Steve Nash is widely respected and loved by a whole bunch of people in the NBA, black, white, and beyond. Congratulations to him. He deserves it. I get it. But this ain't about him, what I'm about to say. Ladies and gentlemen, there's no way around this. This is white privilege. This does not happen for a black man. No experience whatsoever on any level as a coach. And you get the Brooklyn Nets job. I know that Kyrie and KD have both signed off on this. I know they both support this move. But I'm thinking about a champion that is Ty Lue, passed up. I'm thinking about a guy who built the foundation for the Golden State Warriors in Mark Jackson, passed up. I'm thinking about the years that Sam Cassell has served as an assistant, first in the nation's capital in D.C., and now with the Los Angeles Clippers, passed up. And it's for a guy, my God, one of the best guys you could possibly meet in your life, and may do a fantastic job, but a guy that has no experience whatsoever. In these times where we're making all of this noise about social justice, I got news for y'all, Molly and Max. I have said this to people on numerous occasions right here on this show. Yes, that was the tipping point. George Floyd's killing, his murder, violence against black men who are unarmed. All of that stuff is true. But the frustration, the protest, and all of these things that you've seen in the streets throughout America, emanating from the black community and disenfranchised communities, is that proverbial glass ceiling. And the fact that it breeds a level of frustration that we can't even put in the words sometimes. You just want to scream to the high heavens. How the hell does this always happen for somebody else other than us? We're black folks, particularly black men, have been sliced and diced up and thrown out to pasture. And if I'm Sam Cassell, if I'm Ty Lue, if I'm Mark Jackson and these boys, that's how I'm feeling right now when I heard the news that two superstars in Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving signed off on this man being the new head coach in Brooklyn. I'm sure he's going to do a good job.
Stephen A., why you go on TV and say some dumbass shit like this, bro? I mean, for real, why you say some dumbass shit like this? We all agree that when it comes to hiring somebody, that you need to hire the best candidate. And the reason why I feel like this is not white privilege is because I truly do feel like the Nets hired the best candidate. And I think most people, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, can agree that that's ideally how it should work. The best candidate should get hired, period. Regardless of race, color, gender, no matter what it is, the best candidate should always be hired. Everybody can agree on that. Steve Nash is a former MVP. Steve Nash is a Hall of Fame basketball player. He spent 5 years as a consultant mentoring Steph Curry. This man is fully qualified to be the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. Also on top of that, that he has a very close relationship with Kevin Durant, right? And that being said, how do you know what the criteria was that the Nets were looking for to assume that this man was a lesser qualified candidate than whoever you think is more qualified than he is? From my understanding of basketball and the head coaches in the NBA, coaching is not as much about X's and O's as it about basically relationship management. So these basketball coaches nowadays are glorified babysitters because you have to manage the egos of $1 million athletes who basically have the world in their hands, right? So if he has a strong relationship with KD and Kyrie, that's probably a strong indicator that he is very qualified to actually coach them. We see what happens with LeBron. When LeBron didn't get along with Eric Spoelstra in Miami, look what happened. When LeBron didn't get along with David Blatt in Cleveland, look what happened, right? So it's very important that relationship is put to the forefront when you're thinking about hiring an NBA head coach. So to say that this man is less qualified than somebody like Mark Jackson or Ty Lue, who, by the way, it looks like is about to become the Sixers head coach. So you can throw that argument out the window. To say that, I think is really just reckless. It's one thing if Steve Nash didn't play in the league, he wasn't an MVP, he wasn't a consultant. Like, this man literally had no experience. It's one thing if he was a college basketball coach or something, right? Something where it's like, okay, this dude is really not qualified. Him going out and saying this, I think, is just really dumb, right? And honestly, it really pissed a lot of people off because, again, Steve Nash is qualified. This is not an example of white privilege, especially when you consider the fact that there's been guys like Derek Fisher, Jason Kidd, Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas, Doc Rivers. There's been tons of black coaches that's also been players that have been given chances to be head coaches with literally no experience, right? So for you to sit here and make this argument in the NBA that this is white privilege is really ridiculous. But with that being said, I want you to watch another take about the same subject and what he goes on to really say about this situation.
And it's not about Nash. It's really about KD and Kyrie and the choice they made during these times when so many qualified black candidates are coaching in the NBA. And you know how many times brothers call me and say, yo, Stephen A., you gotta say this, you gotta say this, you gotta say that. But you got an opportunity to do something and you didn't do it. That's what I'm saying.
So this part of Stephen A's take got overlooked. And to me, with my sharp ears, I really was listening to what he said. And then when I actually listened to what he said, I realized that the reason why he gave the white privilege take is not because he necessarily believes it's white privilege. It's because he's trying to play the woke card. And the reason why he's trying to play the woke card is because he's not trying to step on any toes of these players, right? In that business that Stephen A is in, relationship with players are very important. So you don't want to piss players off too much, but you also still want to be objective and you want to send a message. What Stephen A was really trying to say, if you really pay attention to him, he focused a lot on Kyrie and KD signing off on this hire, considering the George Floyd protests and everything going on in the country right now. Keep in mind, the NBA players claim to be super woke revolutionaries that are complaining about systemic racism. KD and Kyrie signed off on this hire. And what Stephen A is kind of saying is that, well, hold on here. You guys out here complaining about systemic racism, which means that you believe there's a system that is perpetuated by white people to make it harder for black people to move up and to promote white people ahead of more qualified candidates just because of their skin color, right? And if you truly believe this system, why is it that you let a candidate whom Stephen A feels is more qualified not get hired before Steve Nash, right? Put your money where your mouth is, right? If you so woke and you fighting against systemic racism, again, why is it that you didn't want to hire a black coach? Because that's how you fight systemic racism. Right? I'm saying this is what I think that Stephen A is coming from. When you really listen to what he's saying, right? He's really calling KD and Kyrie out. He's really saying that these guys aren't about shit. And this is the same reason why Stephen A was so mad at Kaepernick. Same exact reason. Because Kaepernick had went around telling everybody how he wanted to be in the NFL so bad and he's being kept out of the NFL and the NFL so racist, this, that, and the other against him, right? And Stephen A, behind the scenes, supposedly was working with some other black executives in the NFL plus Jay-Z to try to bring Kaepernick back into the fold. And that's also part of the reason why Kaepernick had got a workout with the NFL in November that all 32 teams showed up to, or well, most teams showed up to. And apparently all Cap had to do was show up to the workout and do the workout and he would have got signed. But Cap didn't do that, right? We all know what happened with that story. And that's why Stephen A got so mad, because apparently, according to him, he had been told by Kaepernick that he wants to be back in the NFL. All he want to do is play football. He's working out 5 days a week. But then when it came time to actually put your money where your mouth is about what you say you're about, he folded. That really pissed Stephen A off, because Stephen A, I think, is really getting the shit end of the stick when it comes to dealing with these players. And more specifically, these woke, extra liberal players. This is just a lesson for Stephen A. Again, going back to Kyrie and KD in terms of hiring a black coach. I mean, when you think about it, right? An ironic situation that comes to the top of my head is, look at Jason Whitlock, right? Jason Whitlock is always called a coon or Uncle Tom because of his conservative views. But Jason Whitlock is the only major sports host of a major talk show that had an all-black male panel on his show. And Whitlock talks about that. He talks about that as his response to doing his part, bringing up others, giving others opportunity, right? Because you're complaining about white people not giving you opportunities, but you're not giving opportunities to these coaches. At the end of the day, KD and Kyrie sign off on who the next coach is going to be. And I think that that's why Stephen A is so mad. And I think the problem is that Stephen A tried to hide behind the white privilege thing when he really should have just came out and said how he really feel about it. Because even super woke Shannon Sharp didn't go the white privilege route. He's the first guy I would think about that would pull the race card. Super woke Sharp. Even he didn't pull the race card. So you know that Stephen A's take was just really out of bounds. Because them hiring Steve Nash is not white privilege. That's more about the fact that KD and Steve Nash have a close relationship. That's what that's all about. And at this point, that's very important to coaching a basketball team, because essentially head coaching is just managing egos more than X and O's at this point. So again, my opinion on this is that, the white privilege thing was just stupid. Right? This is not white privilege. And Stephen A shouldn't have been trying to pull the race card to cover up for his actual real take, which his real take is him calling out Kyrie and KD for not putting their money where their mouth is, claiming to be trying to fight systemic racism, but yet when they have an opportunity to bring a black man up, they didn't do it. That's what he's really pissed about. So let me know what you guys think about this. Do you think that the hiring of Steve Nash is white privilege? Let me know in the comment section, and make sure you like and subscribe, and most importantly, share a black conservative perspective.